you, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Good afternoon, friends.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
So, sir has because my session was on Wednesday, and it is a continuous session of 3 hours. It is like curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. But because of some technical reasons, sir has requested me to take up this session. So, and now in this session, I am going to handle curriculum and pedagogy, and in the next session, we will discuss about the assessment. And here the curriculum and pedagogy, I'm not going to discuss in general, but as the main theme of this program is NEP orientation, let us have a look over what is the curriculum and pedagogical structure as recommended by NEP 2020. So we know that education, it is an, as said by Nelson Mandela, education is a powerful weapon for the social change. So we know that education is going to change the society. But now at present, we are living in the digital era. We are technologically advanced. So what kind of education we need? And this for what purpose we want education? So we know that education, it is fundamental for achieving the full human potential and to develop equitable and just society and promoting the nation development. And apart from that, the NEP emphasizes on the universal access to quality education, which is essential for the economic growth. And there is a lot of changes in the knowledge landscape, and the rise of big data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. It requires a skilled labor, and there is a lot of changes in the climate, and natural depletion of the natural resources are occurring. And apart from all these, in the present context or in the present society, what we expect, there is a lot of demand for humanities and art also. Then here, as parents and as teachers, what we are emphasizing? So here we are emphasizing our children to learn, only to learn. We are not giving importance them to how to learn or what they are learning. Instead, we are emphasizing or we are forcing them to learn only. But where we have to give importance to learn how to learn, not only to learn, but learn how to learn. So therefore, education, what NEP says, the education should move towards less content and learning about how to think critically and how to solve problems. That is what we say, problem solving skills, and how to be creative and multidisciplinary. So till today, what we are, for example, if I take my example, I am going to be expert in only one discipline. But the present society expects a multidisciplinary, a multi-talented individual as students. And how to innovate, that is how to find out the new things and adapt and absorb new material in novel and changing fields. How we have to get adjusted with the changing fields and what newness we can find out in the changing fields. If the education has to aim or it has to achieve all these things, where it has to make the students or the future citizens of the nation to fulfilled or inculcated with all these skills or qualities, whatever they say, innovativeness, adaptiveness, or problem solving skills, then what kind of curriculum we expect, what kind of curriculum we need to the present context. So keeping all these in mind or in this background, NEP 2020 has came out with a new curriculum and pedagogical structure starting from the basic, from the primary education. So therefore, here what kind of curriculum we need to achieve, or how we can make the students to learn how to learn. So then here the curriculum as per NEP, it emphasizes on what it says. The curriculum should include basic arts, crafts. I told that where the present society, it wants to be more humanitarian and art oriented, and moreover on that the present society is a digital society, technical era. We are living in the technical era. So to meet that needs of the society, the diverse needs of society, we need a curriculum which should include basic art, crafts, humanities, games, sports, and which is going to develop all aspects of learner's brain. All aspects of learners means we are not supposed to concentrate only on the cognitive aspect, or only on the affective domain, or on the psychomotor domain, where we have to consider all the aspects of the learner's brain, and also their physical aspect also. And we have to make education more well-rounded. We know that the main aim of the education is the all-round development of the individual. So therefore the curriculum should be well-rounded, useful, and fulfilling to the learner. So therefore, and moreover, the curriculum should build character, and it should enable learners to become ethical, rational, and caring. At the same time, we have to prepare them for gainful, fulfilling employment. So not only making or not only developing their all aspects of brains and giving a more well-rounded education, we have to prepare them for gainful, fulfilling employment, because whatever the education we are going to get, that should be gainful for us. So therefore we have to prepare them for such kind of society, or for such kind of individual. So therefore the curriculum, as what NEP says, the curriculum should concentrate or emphasize on all these aspects. Then let us have a view on what is the curricular and pedagogical structure as suggested by NEP 2020. The previous academic structure was divided into 3 levels only, that is 10 plus 2 is the structure. But the new pedagogical and curricular structure given by NEP is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So here the curricular structure is divided into 4 levels. So this is the new structure. In that the first 5 year, again it is subdivided into 2 levels. That is, all of you know that is their structure. The first year is Anganwadi, or what we say preschool or Balvatika. The age group is 3 to 6, and the next level is 2. It is of 2-year level, which includes class 1 and 2, ages 6 to 8. And the next level is the second level. It is of 3 years, like from classes 3 to 5. And third one is classes 6 to 8. And the last one is the classes 9 to 12. And for the first level, we call it as a foundational stage. Second is the preparatory stage. Third is the middle stage. And fourth one is the secondary stage, which is the new curricular and pedagogical structure, where while framing the curriculum, we have to follow the new curricular structure as given by NEP 2020. So this is a base for curriculum. Then what is curriculum? So there may be a question. So you are all from different fields, from different subjects background, and you know about what is curriculum. So just for a reference, just to recall what is curriculum, it is nothing but entire organized experiences of the student in any institutional setting towards educational aims and objectives. It is a set of or entire organized experience, the experiences, the learning experiences gained by the students in his institution. That is not only the academic experiences or curricular experiences or co-curricular experiences or extracurricular experiences. The curriculum includes each and everything. So where it includes curricular activities, or what we say academic activities, co-curricular activities, and also extracurricular activities. So the curriculum, it includes goals, objectives, syllabi, content to be taught and learned, what we want to teach and what we want make our students to learn, and pedagogical practices and assessment also. So in today's session, I am going to concentrate on what is this content, what to be taught and how it should be transacted, that is pedagogical practices. And it also includes teaching learning materials, what I told, content nothing but teaching learning materials, and school and classroom practices, learning environment, and also the culture of the institution. All these comes under the curriculum. For that purpose only, in the NEP, where they had explained, they had given recommendations for how should be the teaching learning materials, school environment, the classroom practices, and also the culture of the institution. Because whatever we have in our curriculum, whether it is a culture of the institution or a classroom practices or school practices, the material, teaching learning material we have, that is going to influence the learning outcomes of the students. So therefore, NEP, it emphasizes on the curriculum, where the curriculum should include the goals, objectives, syllabi, content, teaching, learning materials, and it also says that where we are not supposed to separate the curricular activities, co-curricular activities, and extracurricular activities. The curriculum should include all these three. Then another one concept is there, the pedagogy. So pedagogy, there is a lot of confusion regarding the pedagogy. Somebody is going to say, they are going to synonymate the pedagogy with the teaching. But pedagogy itself is not the teaching, where pedagogy is the method and practice of teaching. So it is art and science of teaching, how to do the teaching. So for that we call as pedagogy. It is a method and practice of teaching used in the classroom by the teacher to help students to learn. Whatever the teacher, myself or all of you, you are going to use in your classroom to make your students to learn or to transact whatever the content or the teaching learning materials we have to the students, we are going to use some teaching methods. So that practice and that method of teaching is known as pedagogy. And then what is that effective pedagogy? I have used a term here, effective pedagogy. Effective pedagogy, it is nothing but whatever the teaching method or practices I'm following in my classroom, I feel or I think that it should be effective. When I'm going to call it as effective, when my children, that means our students, they grow and learn and they are able to clearly focus on their curricular goals, competencies, and learning outcomes, then we can call it as a effective pedagogy. So this curriculum and the pedagogy, it has been changed in the view of or according to the consideration of the NEP 2020, starting from the foundational stage to the higher education level. So let us have a detailed view of the curricular structure and what are the pedagogy we are going to use at each level. So already I told that the curricular structure has been changed to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. That is the 4 stages, and these 4 stages of schooling has been designed based on the vision of NEP and on the considerations of the child development, conceptual nature of subjects. This.
ಮೇಡಮ್ ನೋಡಿ
ಸೌಮ್ಯ,
ಇವ್ರು ಕಾಯಕ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು.
please unmute your. Okay, so based on the consideration, that means while developing or while designing the curriculum, the NEP has considered or it has instructed the NCRTC here the formulation of this new and comprehensive national curriculum framework for school education has been undertaken by NCRT. And to frame this curriculum, we have to consider the child development, conceptual nature of the subject. So keeping in that mind and appropriate modes of inquiry at each age range, we have to design the curriculum. And NCRT is the organization which has been given the responsibility of forming, framing the curriculum, that is for school education. Then I told that there are 4 stages: foundational stage, preparatory stage, and then say middle stage and secondary stage. Coming to the foundational stage. So here the foundational stage, it is for children of ages between 3 and 8, and children start schooling in the foundational stage, and the design is based on the principles of early childhood care and education. So what we know that in the that is whatever the present educational system or the curricular structure we have, we are going to send our children to school at the age of 6. That is, now it was we have the kindergarten system. We are going to send our children by the age of 4. But here NEP, it emphasizes on the child to be entered to the school at the age of 3. So that for that stage it calls as foundational stage. And whatever the curriculum or the pedagogy or assessment we are going to design for this foundational stage, it should be based on the principles of early childhood care and education. So NEP, it states this ECCE, it should consist of flexible, multifaceted, multi-level, play-based, activity-based, and other forms of visual art and all that in its curriculum. In align with this, and moreover, we know that the age of the child 3, where we can't make the child to learn the whatever the academic we are going to have in our first standard or the second standard, because it is the foundational stage where we have to emphasize on developing the social capacity, sensitivity, good behavior, ethics, personal and public cleanliness, teamwork, and cooperation among the children at the foundational stage. So where the main aim of this ECC is to emphasize on the physical and motor development, cognitive development, socio-emotional, ethical development, cultural or artistic development, and the development of communication and early language literacy and numeracy. That is what foundational literacy and functional numeracy, the NEP 2020 emphasizes, because the present literacy rate has been decreasing in the country. The NEP 2020 emphasized on the functional numeracy and foundational literacy. So therefore it emphasizes on the foundational stage of education. And all of us know that our children, that is at the stage of at the age of 3, what the child can learn. So if you know about the Anganwadis or Balavatikas or some kindergarten, before that we are going to send our children to some Anganwadis. So where they are going to make the child to learn what is the socio-emotional, ethical aspects, the cultural aspects, and the communication, how to talk with others, how to pronounce, like that early language. So therefore that is the foundation stage. So the NEP has emphasized on how that is framing the curriculum for the age of 3 and what it says. So the curriculum, how should be the curricular structure at the foundational stage? So here already I told that the domains are linked with the physical development, socio-emotional ethical development, cognitive development, language and literacy development, aesthetic and cultural development. So where the curriculum should aim on these developmental areas. And it also says that mother tongue is emphasized for language and literacy development. We have to emphasize mother tongue, where the mother tongue should be the language at the level of foundational stage to make effective learning in all other domains also, not only in the language and literacy development domain. The mother tongue should be the language of the foundational stage, where to make the child to improve, or where we have to enhance the development of the child in physical or socio-emotional development or ethical development. For the cognitive development of the child, we have to emphasize on mother tongue. That means we have to have the curriculum in the mother tongue. And then the 5 domains of this development is also informed, or it is supported, or it is based on the Panchakosha imagination. What we say Panchakosha theory in our philosophy, Annamaya, Anandamaya, Vijnanamaya, what we say there are 3 koshas are there. These foundational stage curriculum, it is based on, or it is informed by Panchakosha imagination. So therefore, at the foundational stage, the curricular structure is, it should give importance to the mother tongue and language and literacy development and socio-emotional development of the child. So, and it is divided into the physical development, socio-emotional, cognitive, language and development. What should be the content of the curriculum? So I told that it has been divided, the age group is 3 to 8. That is at the foundational stage, whatever in the previous slide I told, that comes. So the textbooks are used only from the grade 1, not at the foundational stage, that is 3, 4 or 5. From the 6th year onwards, we are going to use the textbooks from the grade 1, and the content should consist of, and what should be the content, where the concrete materials, like concrete means which the child can see and can touch or can observe. That is concrete materials like toys, puzzles or manipulatives. And along with these materials, learning experiences should be organized through physical exploration of the classroom and outdoor space. Physical exploration means where we are not supposed to make the child to sit in the classroom and listen to the teacher, whatever the teacher is going to tell or transact, or whatever she or he is going to write on the blackboard. But instead, we have to organize the learning experiences in such a manner that where the child can explore the classroom, inside classroom and also outside the classroom, through on his own activity physically. That means the child can involve himself or herself in the learning activity. So in the later years of this stage, that is after in the grade 1 itself, we can give worksheets, not directly the textbooks or the notebooks. Instead, that we can provide worksheets which plays important role in the development of the child. And in this case, that is, if you want to develop the worksheets, or if you want to organize the learning experiences, or if you want to provide toys or puzzles, the children's literature, whatever we have literature related to the children, I think you know about there's a vast literature available on children, whether it may be in the form of small stories or poems or like some incidents or events or situations. That literature is going to be an important source of content for language and literacy development. For that purpose only, at the primary level, we are going to have what we say process. We make the child to learn small poems, rhymes, what we say, rhymes. So, children's literature, it helps to develop the content for the curriculum for language and literacy development. So that should be the content at the foundational stage. Okay, this is the content what we are going to have in our curriculum. Then what about the pedagogy? That means how should we practice that and how should we make the child to learn? So are we going to teach them? Are we going to lecture? No, that should not be. So the pedagogy should be play-based. Play-based. I think you have if you have observed the Anganwadi teachers or helpers or the teachers associated with the kindergarten level, you see they are going to follow the play-based method. So play-based method is the best pedagogy to teach the foundational level of children. So here it also emphasizes the nurturing and caring relationship between the teacher and children, and the pedagogical design should be in such a manner or it should allow for a balance between self-paced individual learning to a more social group-based learning. Self-paced means the child can learn on his own in his own speed. Some, because we know that the classroom is a diverse of children, where we can have children from the average group, above average group and below average group. So some children may learn very fast or some children may lag behind. So where we have to have a pedagogical design where it has to make a balance between the self-paced individual learning. Self-paced means the child can learn on his own speed, and to a more social group based learning, that is in the social groups like collaborative learning method the child can learn. And we have to provide adequate time for the child to practice and repeat on their own. So way development of these foundational capacities, it requires a guidance, systematic guidance from the teacher and also adequate time. Sufficient time should be provided for the child to practice, and there should be a systematic guidance from the teacher to develop these foundational capacities like numeracy and literacy. That is mainly the communication skill, the speaking capability of the child. And the whole classroom instruction should be balanced with the time for children to work on their own, either with materials or with worksheets. That means we have to balance the time that where we have to provide opportunities for the children to learn on their own and also with the worksheets. That should be the pedagogy where it should be a play based, where the teacher should also get involved with the children in playing. Play based pedagogical approach is suggested for the foundational stage. And then coming to the preparatory stage. So, and the preparatory stage, that is after the foundational stage, we will come to the preparatory stage, and the duration of this preparatory stage is 3 years. The first 5 years are 2 plus 3. So here the duration of the preparatory stage is 3 years. It includes grades 3, 4 and 5. And what should be the curriculum structure for this? Where it is divided into curricular areas and world around us. So here Curricular, what are the curricular areas for the grade 3, 4 and 5? At least 2 languages, mathematics, art education, physical education, well-being and the world around us. They are the curricular areas at the preparatory stage. And then world around us is an interdisciplinary area that encourages exploration and understanding of both the natural world and the social world. So that means where one aspect is like languages, mathematics, physical education, all these are the child is going to learn. The world around us, it is another interdisciplinary area. It is an interdisciplinary where it encourages the child to explore and understand both the natural world and the social world. And apart from these, aspects of work in vocational education are also incorporated in the curricular area. A little bit vocational aspects of some vocational education is also attached with the curricular area. And then the preparation is largely focused on capacities and dispositions at this stage, where this preparatory stage is going to focus on the building up of capacities upon the then what should be the content? So here I told that in the foundational stage, there should be no textbooks. The textbooks are not entertained at the stage of foundational. When we come to the preparatory stage, or the child enters the preparatory stage, the textbooks start. They play important role in the areas of, that too especially in the areas of language and mathematics. So apart from this textbooks for the language and mathematics, children's literature should complement the language textbook to consolidate students' literacy capacities. For example, if you have gone through the textbooks of 5th standard and 6th standard Kannada, a language, or English, or whatever the language you are following. So in that we can see a textbook where it, apart from the content or syllabus it wants to transact, in the last it has provided some exercises and extra activities to enhance students' literacy capacities. And these activities are based on the children's literature only. So therefore here in the textbooks, apart from having this textbook to in complement to this language textbook, the students' literacy, to improve the students' literacy capacities, children's literature can be used. And then again at this stage, not only at the foundational stage, at the preparatory stage also, materials and manipulatives, they're also going to continue to play a role in the mathematics. That means we can use materials in teaching the mathematics, where emphasis shifts from symbolic to concrete materials. So at the foundational stage, what happens? We are going to provide the materials to the children. For example, to make the child to learn 1 plus 1, we can give them some play materials like balls or sticks like that to add or subtract. But at the stage of preparatory, it shifts from symbolic representation to the concrete materials. In concrete manner, that is, they have to calculate in concrete manner. And again, the world around us, it rely less on the textbook and more on the experiential learning. Don't go for the textbooks. Explore, make the opportunities for the children to learn on their own. That is through experiential learning. Provide opportunities for the physical exploration as the main source of content for world around us. And whatever the content we are going to provide, it should be familiar context of the student. The child who is from the rural area, can't know about anything about the urban areas. So the examples, whatever we are going to give, that should be familiar to the students. So therefore, while formulating the content for the preparatory stage, we have to give familiar context of the student. Then, how should we transact? What kind of pedagogy should be used? Again, here in the previous stage, we have used play-based. In this stage, we have to follow. We can have the pedagogical approach like activity and discovery based pedagogical approach. And gradually, we have to encourage students to be active in the formal classroom arrangement. So that means we have to engage the students actively in the classroom interaction process. So therefore, the main pedagogy at this stage is activity and discovery based pedagogy. And here, as a teacher, we have to make the students to develop the ability to concentrate and pay continuous attention. That means the capacity. I told that in the preparatory stage, we have to give importance. So focus on the capacities. So that capacities means where we have to make the child to learn the ability to concentrate and pay continuous attention to the classroom teaching or discussions needs to be encouraged. That is active involvement of the child in the classroom lectures and discussions. For that, we have to develop the capacity of concentration and continuous attention. And with that, apart from that, we have to give importance as some proportion of the self-paced individual work. That means we have to allow time for the child to learn on his own or in his own pace. And then we can also give some amount of home work. That is in the pedagogy, not only completely teaching or transacting the material in the classroom, we have to give some amount or some proportion of self-paced individual work and also for the some amount of homework to the child. That should be the pedagogy at the level of preparatory stage, that is 3, 4 and 5. Then coming to the middle stage. So the middle stage it includes grade 6, 7 and 8. So what 6, 7 and 8? It consists of 3 years of education, and this middle stage curricular structure and academic structure is based or it is built upon the preparatory stage, but with the introduction of subject teachers for learning and discussion of the more abstract concepts. I think you may know about that. There is no subject teachers for the up to 5th standard or 4th standard. The students, they are going to have the class teacher. But after when they enter the middle stage where the subject teachers are introduced for the learning of concepts in each subjects, and they should be ready for the science, mathematics, arts, social sciences and humanities. So the subject teachers will be introduced. For what purpose? To make the students to understand more abstract concepts of different subjects like science, mathematics, social sciences and humanities. And experience learning within each subjects. That means opportunities should be provided for the experiential learning and explorations of relations among different subjects, where that means we have to encourage the students to interrelate the relation between the different subjects, like what is the relation between maths and science, science and social science, arts and humanities, like that. So, and that is the main emphasis of NEP 2020 with reference to the middle stage. Then what should be the curricular structure? So where it includes science, that is the study of physical and natural world, and social science. If we come to the science, it includes science. That science means both physical and natural world and social sciences. And students should get exposed to vocational education. And this vocational education, it should be based on the capacities and dispositions in the preparatory stage. That means whatever the child has developed the capacities at the preparatory stage, based on that, we have to expose the child to vocational education. And then here, for example, here curricular areas, whatever the curricular areas, it may be math, science, or this thing, arts or humanities. Here the child is going to deal with forms of understanding, with explicit engagement with paradigmic theories and conceptual structure. That means more generic capacities is developed in the preparatory stage are now specialized. That means in general, the child is going to learn at the preparatory stage, where it is going to be get specialized into specific methods of inquiry. That means the child will came to know about what is science, what are the concepts in the science, what are the theories, what are the practical aspects. From generalization to more specific, the child reach. So here, for example, students gain an understanding of the methods of inquiry in science and also contrast them with the methods of inquiry in history or in the arts. That means the method of inquiry, whatever the child has learned in the science, may able to compare or contrast with the inquiry methods in history. So therefore, here the child will develop the capacity of forms of understanding and are able to get more, that means gain an understanding of the methods of inquiry, or what we say comparison. That should be the curricular structure. What should be the content in the middle stage, where already I told theoretical concepts. So where it reflects the engagement with the theoretical concepts and the introduction of theories and conceptual frameworks specific to each form of understanding, whether it is science or arts or maths or languages. The child is going to be introduced with the theoretical concepts. That means introduction of theories and conceptual framework. And there will be a shift from abstract ideas, more abstract ideas, and the students are expected to engage with unfamiliar context and situations. What I told, where at the preparatory stage, the child should be provided with familiar context and concrete ideas. But when the child moves to the middle stage, there should be a shift from abstract ideas, and then the child should be engaged with the unfamiliar context and situations. So for that purpose, here the textbooks are going to play a central role in mediating the content. That is, whatever the abstract ideas or unfamiliar context that will be provided in our textbooks, it is going to mediate the content to the child at the middle stage. So therefore, here it may be a challenge at this stage to the students, but if our textbooks are designed well designed textbooks with clear expectations and specific learning goals, they definitely are going to support students in entering the forms of understanding. That means the child will able to understand the concepts or theories or whatever the concrete or abstract ideas are there, if the textbooks are very clear and have a specific learning goals. Then what should be the pedagogy? I told that in the foundational stage and preparatory stage, we have some play-based, activity-based, like that. But if we come to the pedagogy at the middle stage, it should be a balance of direct instruction and opportunities for exploration and inquiry. That means direct instruction means the teacher is going to give instruction or teach in the classroom, and apart from that, opportunities for exploration and inquiry. That means what we say, that is giving the project work or taking the children to the field work or to the labs for the experimentation. So here this stage is going to, already I told that it will be a burden for the children or it will be a heavier for the children. So therefore here teacher must pay attention to the prior concepts, to focus on the concept development. If you want to develop a concept among your child, we have to give attention to the prior concepts developed by the child in their previous learnings. So therefore, for that purpose only at present, whatever the method we are going to use in our present education system is social constructivism, we say, where it gives importance to the previous learning or previous knowledge of the children. So therefore, for if you want to focus on the concept development, give attention to the prior concepts of the students, whatever the child already know, and how to use that concepts for the active learning. Here we have to emphasize on becoming fluent in the methods of inquiry, not on accumulating the facts. Whatever there, I don't want to collect all the facts, but I want to be fluent in methods of inquiry. That means within my own understanding, I want to get involved myself in the learning through inquiry. That is by making discoveries, by asking questions, I want to gain the knowledge. That should be the pedagogy at the middle stage. And then coming to the secondary stage. So NEP, if when it comes to the secondary stage, it says that there should be no hard separation. There should not be a separation between. It clearly says that move away from the practice of streaming into science, arts, or commerce. Instead, allow the students to choose subject across curricular areas. That means we have to provide opportunities for the students to select their subject areas, and it should enable both breadth through engagement with a variety of subject across streams, and it should include art education, physical education, well-being, and vocational education. That is the first thing, where there should not be a separation into for commerce, arts, or science like that. But it says that we have to give opportunities for the students to choose their curricular areas. And then students should have a breadth and depth across multiple disciplines. They are supposed to have an in-depth knowledge, a breadth knowledge about multiple, that means different disciplines, and the depth in the chosen subjects. I told that first they should have a opportunity to select their subjects. So they should have a depth in chosen subject, and also they have a knowledge of other disciplines also. And then choice and flexibility. They should have flexibility and choice across subjects and curricular areas. These are some of the considerations or guidelines given by the NEP 2020 for the secondary stage. So choice and flexibility means a student should have flexible, or they should have opportunities to choose their subject and curricular areas. And then reduced content load. That means curriculum content should be reduced in each subject to its core essential. That means instead of putting more and more content in the curriculum, we have to provide some space for the critical thinking, holistic and inquiry based, discovery based, and discussion based learning. So reduce the content, and then reduce exam pressures. Till today, yesterday also we had a confusion whether there is a board exam for the 5th standard and 9th standard. But what the NEP says, board exams, like we have to reduce the exam pressure where we have to make the board exam easier in that sense that where test primarily the core capacities rather than months of coaching and memorization. Instead of testing their memorization or coaching, we just test their core capacities, whatever the capacities they add. Then, in order to enable whatever the guidelines or the recommendations given by NEP 2020 with reference to the secondary stage, what kind of curriculum we can have. So in the grade 9 and 10, where the secondary stage is divided into two levels, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. At the level of grades of 9 and 12, the student engaged with the breadth of curriculum across curricular areas. In 11 and 12, more specialization and choices are available to the students. And 9 and at the 9th and 10th grade, there will be a they have to study 3 languages, R1, R2, R3. Among that 3, 2 are should be native to India, and they have to study the 7 subjects like mathematics and computational thinking, social science, art education, physical education, well-being, vocational education, and interdisciplinary areas. And study of multiple disciplines like in science, biology, chemistry, physics, and earth science. Earth again, where we have to emphasize on the core competencies only rather than memorization of facts. And then the learning standards for these curricular areas, they're expected that all students should attain these learning standards. That is, the NEP 2020 has provided some learning standards for the secondary stage. The students should able to attain that learning standards according to the NCF. And all secondary schools should need to offer 3 languages and 7 subjects, already I told. And then if we come to the grade 11 and 12, where students have to choose 2 languages, there are 2 groups from the group 1, at least 1 language which is native to the India, and then another language, whatever, may be it English or French or whatever the child wants to learn. And then choose the 4 subjects with an optional 5th subject from at least 2 of the two groups like group 2 and 3, art education, physical education, well-being and vocational education. Group 3 will be have social science and humanities, interdisciplinary areas. Group 4, science, mathematics and computational thinking. So therefore here, where the child has to choose subject from at least these 2 groups, and they have to it will be desirable for students to have take subjects from all these 3 groups to develop well-rounded thinking. Already I told that well-rounded development or for the all-round development of the child, it is better or desirable the child has to choose subjects from that 3 groups. And then coming to the textbooks, here for 9 and 10, they can continue to be an important source of content. For grades 11 and 12, each semester long course can have its own specific course compendium and variety of content addressing the specific concepts and methods of inquiry should be made available to both the teachers, and teachers should choose appropriate content packages to meet the learning objectives of the course, where the student should be able to learn the specific concepts and methods of inquiry at the level of 11 and 12. And then coming to the pedagogy. So here, if we come to the pedagogy, it should encourage self-study and exploration. Self-study and exploration. Here the teacher will be there, but the pedagogy at the secondary stage is going to emphasize more on the self-study and exploration, and becoming fluent in the methods of inquiry, and where we have to make the students to be independent learners. And that is at this stage of secondary, that too especially 11th and 12th grades, the students should be independent learners, and the pedagogy in the classroom should reflect this expectation. That means the teacher should not provide any kind of notes or something like that, but where our teaching or our whatever the instruction is going to be provided are the pedagogical practices followed by the class in the classroom, that should be in such a way that where it should make the students independent. So here the classroom interaction should be mix of more direct instruction from the teacher with discussion, seminars for discussion, exploration and discovery, opportunities for students to prepare individual and group projects and present key concepts of the discipline. We have to emphasize on the discussion, seminars with discussion, exploration and discovery, opportunities for the students to involve in the individual projects and group projects, and they should be able to present whatever the key concepts of the discipline. That should be the pedagogy, where we have to make the students self or independent learners. Then coming to the higher education, the curriculum, what NEP says about curriculum at the higher education level. So according to NEP, where it has some features like, where again it emphasizes on the flexibility. That means flexibility to move from one discipline of study to another. You know about the lateral entry and exit, all that. So flexibility, there should be a flexible curricular structure where the student can move from one discipline to another discipline. If the student is studying the science, can move to the art discipline. And then opportunity for learners to choose the courses of their interest in all disciplines. That means we have to give opportunities for the students to choose their own courses of interest. That means if I am interested in the science discipline, I may choose the subject or courses in which, if I am interested in the biology or if I am interested in the physics, I can choose that one. And then already I told, facilitate the multiple entry and exit options with UG certificate or UG diploma or degree, depending upon the number of credits scored, and flexibility for learners to move from one institution to another, that is from one institutions to other institution for the multi or interdisciplinary learning. The children or the student can move and they can switch to alternative modes of learning. They can go for alternative modes of learning like offline, ODL or online learning. Then what are the pedagogical approaches we are going to follow at the higher education level? Okay. 2-3 slides I will complete. Okay. So we have to shift from teacher-centric to learner-centric pedagogy, passive to active or participatory pedagogies. So what kind of teaching methods or pedagogical practices should we use at the higher education level is lectures we can have, but that lectures should be supported by tutorial work, practicum and field-based learning, and the use of prescribed textbooks and e-learning resources and other self-study materials, field-based learning or project, open-ended project work, and among that open-ended project work, we may have some team-based activities and the activities which are going to develop the transferable or subject-specific skills. That activities also we can adapt, and internship and visits to field sites are the main essentials of the pedagogical approaches at the higher education level, which makes the learners as independent learners and make them to learn on their own. Then apart from this, what should be the other aspect of the curriculum? This is related with the academic or the curricular structure. So where the NEP emphasizes on the holistic development of the learners, not only on the cognitive development, it also build the character and develop the 21st century skills. And therefore, all the curriculum, all the aspects of curriculum and pedagogy should be revamped and reoriented towards development of the critical goals, like whatever the problem solving skills, critical thinking, logical reasoning, that should be developed. So therefore, the curriculum and pedagogy should orient towards such kind of pedagogical practices, and we have to reduce the curriculum, and the curriculum content should be reduced to core essential, I told already, and content should focus on the key concepts, ideas, applications, and problem solving. And the teaching learning should be more interactive. That means interaction should be more between the student and teacher. Questions should be encouraged, and the classroom should be, or classroom session should be more fun, creative, collaborative, and explorative activities. That means where experiential learning should be encouraged in the classroom teaching. And then in all stages, whatever may be the stages, whether it is foundational, preparatory, or higher education, encourage the experiential learning, that is hands-on learning, arts integrated and sports integrated education, storytelling based pedagogy, and other pedagogies competency based learning and education, that is shift from the classroom transaction to competency based learning and education. And then we should have a sports integration pedagogical approach. It is a cross curricular pedagogical approach where we use the physical activities to develop the skills of collaboration, self-initiative, self-discipline, and citizenship, etc. And then already I told, allow flexibility. That means flexibility for the choice of subjects. And then medium of instruction. If we come to the language, multilingualism. So where the medium of instruction until at least up to the grade 5th, it should be mother tongue or the local language or regional language. Until grade 8th, it says that preferably the mother tongue should be the medium of instruction, and high quality textbooks are expected, and it should be available in home languages or mother tongue. And teachers should use bilingual approach, including bilingual teaching learning materials, where or with those students whose home language may be different from the medium of instruction. So therefore, the teacher should use bilingual pedagogical approach for teaching. And then the final one is 3-language formula, whatever the previous commissions has recommended, that will be continued to be implemented, keeping in mind the constitutional provisions, the aspirations of the people. We need to promote the multilingualism by implementing or adapting the 3-language formula. So thank you all for your, I don't know, so for your patience, listen. If you have any doubts or clarifications regarding whatever the presentations I had, the points presented in front of you, so you are most welcome. Any questions? Are you there? Are you there in the session or out of the session?
Ma'am, they're in session. Yes, ma'am, they're in session.
You are there. Okay, fine. Any doubts? All of you are from degree level?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Degree college teachers?
Yes, ma'am. Degree colleges, B.Ed colleges.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Any questions or clarifications, or if you want to add something to my presentation, whatever I have discussed? Do you have any other more points? You are most welcome. Even I want to learn something from you people. Then can we conclude the session? No doubts?
ಮೊದಲಿನ NEP-ಗೂ ಈಗಿನ NEP-ಗೂ ಮೊದಲಿನ NEP-ಗೂ ಈಗಿನ NEP-ಗೂ.
Who is speaking there? Is a lot of disturbances is there?
Madam.
Yes.
ಮೊದಲಿನ NEP-ಗೂ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತ NEP-ಗೂ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಆಗಿದೆ?